Welcome to the Mystic Psychology Podcast. I am really happy that you are here in the space where your spirit meets your everyday life and your energy becomes your guide. I'm Charlotte and I'm here to walk beside you as you reconnect with your truth, your intuition, and the deeper layers of who you truly are. Welcome to the Mystic Psychology Podcast. If you're here for the first time, I am welcoming you. If you're here again, then a great hello from my side, deep from my heart. My name is Charlotte, if you don't know me, and I am the founder of the Mystic Psychology Academy. I support people to actually find the unique energetic gift, work with energy, go into mediumship, and reconnect to their intuition, really. And today's podcast is about my trip to Egypt. And I just returned from this trip, and Egypt is something that is very important to my heart because it's actually the foundation also of why I founded the Mystic Psychology Academy a few years ago. And it all started long back, maybe 8, 9 years ago, when I first received as a medium, as a channel, messages from Isis, the goddess of Egypt. And at that time, I just thought I was crazy and that there is like, what is that? And probably I'm just pretending, and I don't even know what ISIS is. And, I kind of just pushed it back into a cupboard and I didn't want to know anything about it. And life moved on, and suddenly from the outside, people started coming to me and introducing me more and more to Egypt through books, through stories, through YouTube videos that were recommended by strangers to me. And by coincidence, I started getting more and more information. And through my mediumship and through all these years of practice, in last fall, 2024, I received that I am supposed to go to Egypt physically and go there for equinox in March 2025 on March 21st. And I tried everything going there, but actually nothing worked. And 2 weeks before my trip to Egypt, I met somebody who invited me actually to Cairo. So it was my first time in Egypt, except when I was a small child with my mom. And I decided that I will go with my participants to Egypt in the future to do mystic journeys, to do energy work, and to actually deepen the knowledge of energy work and their unique energetic gifts and the messages, and to go there and really channel the energies of this place and different energetic places of the world. But Egypt was definitely one. And in this September, the first trip took place. So in this podcast, I want to take you on my journey because it was an initiation into love this time. And I received so many messages, channelings. There were so many things that happened. And when going to Egypt, it's really mystical and magical because it is beyond anything what the mind can grasp or understand. It is pure synchronicity. And synchronicity meaning that things just start happening out of nowhere and you can't even describe why they're happening, but you feel it's just aligned. It's just exactly the message you're supposed to get. It's exactly what you're supposed to experience or learn. I mean, generally, life like that, it starts becoming like that when you start deepening your knowledge about energy, but Egypt is always extreme. And so I decided to go with my participant, Peggy, and we recorded a podcast, but it's in German because she can only speak German. So if you're a German speaker, you can go to that podcast as well. And this journey was, as I said, an initiation of love in not only between man and woman, but in so many levels, on a universal level, on a level that is the love to God, love to life, love to the masculine and the feminine energies, not only the bodies, but the masculine and feminine energies. The pain, why we are disconnected from love, why we are closing us from love, why we're closing our hearts. And so many experiences in this 7 days I was there with my participants. And we arrived in Egypt, both feeling this energy of love, and it already came days before. And even Peggy, she said, well, I feel this deep inner trust as well. And coming from Germany, going into the biggest chaos ever, it means a lot. So we were both in this really deep trust that whatever we're supposed to receive, we will receive. So we started a journey in the Grand Museum, and we went into the first night to the pyramids, to the sound and light show, and we just introduced ourselves and our energies to the country and to the place, and just arrived with our energy. And then actually slowly already the topic started to arise. And on the second day, we went to the Dashwan pyramids, which are the older ones to Giza, and the famous Giza pyramids. So Dashwan is older. And there already it started to really, life really show us that this is about the deep love. Because before we were unconsciously talking about all these things, we were already seeing, okay, we're talking a lot about relationships, about the heart, about emotions, about feeling. But in the Dashwan Pyramid, I gave a Reiki session, an energy work session to my participant, and it was about opening the heart. And when the session ended, I said, well, all is love. And in that moment, people came and they sat around us and they started meditating with us. And I started singing a song. I didn't know the song. And when it was all finished, we left the pyramid. And on the way out, there was a woman singing that same song that I had been singing. And I asked her, so what does this song mean? It keeps on coming. And she said, well, it's a mantra for divine love. So these are the synchronicities I'm talking about. We were guided all the way. And there was also bats that were talking to us in the pyramid. So we actually could feel and understand them. And it was so interesting because these bats were continuously with us in the whole journey. And the bats were symbolic for the rebirth that we were receiving in this whole 7 days. So we went to Dashwan and we received the message of that it's about the divine love, the love to life, the love to source. And I was very worried because I was like, okay, so what are we going to do next day? And I had everything planned out except for this one day. And then I was told from my guide that it's just about enjoying and really embracing life, the bliss, the love, the joy, and not plan anything. Just let yourself go and flow. So we did, and we went to the Coptic area, or where we went into a church where Jesus and Mary, his mother, Mary and Jesus, were actually living for a while underneath his church because churches were not built back then. But they were living there and they built this church in honor for them. And I felt this huge love. So I was introduced into mother love, a love of loving your child unconditionally, like she did, but still worrying. She was very worried because she was hiding him there because he was supposed to be killed. And I could feel this immense, unconditional, beautiful love of a mother, but still worrying. So that love is not only about feeling blissful all the time, but that love is all the emotions. That love is everything. That there's not such thing. This is love, and this is something else, a different kind of emotion. No, everything is love, or it needs love, or the absence of love. It needs care and love. So there we received this initiation of the motherly love. And when we were walking around this Coptic part, people started coming up to us, children, teenagers, girls, boys, women, like all kinds of people. And they just wanted to touch us and take pictures of us. But it was not like one person or two person. No, it was like literally every minute, everywhere we went. And people smiled at us and laughed at us and gave us stuff. So it was like, it was really, we were in such a blissful, loving state, and you could feel it projected in our whole surrounding in that day. We were really showered in love of people. People came up to us telling us the most beautiful things that they see in us, and we were showered in this love. And going there, we were on the markets and we went to all these kind of places, and we were just showered in this beautiful love. And I already started feeling that, oh, there's such a shower of love today, and joy and bliss. So, there's always a wave in life. There's, the bliss, but then there's also other emotions, uncomfortable emotions that arise. So the next day, I started waking up really angry because we went to the pyramids of Giza on the Giza Plateau in Cairo on equinox. And everything went different than I had originally planned with my guide. So I had a male guide planned for us, but he sent us somebody else. And I was really pissed. And I started getting these deep emotions of I hate men and you can't rely on them and you can't trust them. You like all men are the same. So all these kind of beliefs came in me, and I started to realize it's not only my beliefs, but it's actually the beliefs of the feminine in the world. And I started feeling this pain in me, this pain of what women carry inside them, this huge hate against and anger and against men. And I also started feeling the wounded hearts of the men not receiving the love and the care of the women. So it was both ways. And I realized that the guide who was with us, he was representing this male perspective of the unhealed masculine, of the wounded masculine, because he was scared of us and you could really feel that he was not comfortable with us and he was not protecting us and not he was not there, he was not present, he didn't make us feel safe. So it was very interesting. So in this day we really dived into this topic of the love of the masculine and the feminine, but not only physically but also energetically, because we have the masculine and the feminine also inside us. And it's not only a war we're fighting outside of I hate men and the man who's like, but you wounded me. So, and this is a collective thing, but it's also a war inside of us between the masculine and the feminine. So the war in the outside is actually the war in us also being thought of being wounded and having trauma and of not feeling safe and not being seen and not being held and all kinds of other things. So I went into this painful feeling, which is also love, by the way, because life is showing me what there is to heal. So there was this love of life with that presentation of the topic. And we went into one of the big pyramids. And in this pyramid, Anubis came, and Anubis is a god of ancient Egypt. And what you have to know about gods and all these things, and I will do a separate podcast about that, is that we're always talking about actually frequencies, so energies. And Anubis is a certain kind of energy that came to me, and I felt how this energy of Anubis took out my heart, washed it, and put it into my body again. And I felt my whole body shivering and really reacting to it. And I came out like shivering, shivering out of the pyramid. And I told my participants, like, yeah, still a little angry. I will tell that guy to go away. But then I realized, no, it's about opening my heart. It's about opening to love and forgiveness and the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine. So I really opened my heart and I let go. And I said, no, actually, it's fine. It's good that he's here. Everything is okay. And in that moment, a shift took place. And he took us to a tomb. And in this tomb, I started channeling as well, light language. Let's put it this way, for my participant, which was also about healing the heart. And also the security guy from that tomb joined us and he started singing with us and he started protecting us. And like you could really feel how the masculine and the feminine were like merging in that moment, channeling together and doing that energy work together. And it was really the security of the tomb. So it was very transformational. So we came out from that tomb and we went further. And the guide said, well, I'll take you to the guide you originally actually booked. And in that moment was very interesting because he switched. So the guy who was told to leave and the original guide I actually booked, who was really representative for the healed masculine, overtook. And it was in the moment that I switched inside that it also changed to the outside, which was very, very interesting. So we went to a lot of energy places, portals, and all these kind of things in Giza. And if you're not so into energy work yet or into channeling and mediumship, don't be scared. In my podcast with Peggy, we were talking because she didn't have experience with energy work 2-3 years ago. And these experiences really come as a sort of feeling when you're ready. And it's so beautiful. I mean, it's so magical and it gives you so many lessons in life. And she said that she feels so peaceful now and so trusting life and loving life compared to a few years ago where she asked herself, who am I? What is my purpose? And I asked her, do you still ask yourself that? Or did you get answers to that? And she's like, I don't even ask that question anymore because I am so arrived where I'm supposed to be. Okay, so after this, we went into the desert. And actually, the desert has been also a super transforming part because we were received in the desert by women Bedouins energetically, not physically. They're not the guides of the place, but they're actually taking care of the desert and the knowledge of the desert. And not only of the desert, but of the connection between how to live on Earth and cosmos in balance. And they showed me that the men are actually holding the space for them in the desert. And they're holding this energy while they are kind of receiving and keeping and storing all this information in the desert. So they joined us kind of for the whole trip. And Peggy and me, we were like little children in the desert playing. And we really just both described it as arriving home. And she also said, well, I finally feel home. And I've never been in the desert. I've never been in Egypt. I've never been in a country like this. So it was arriving home in ourselves, home in a different way of being. And in the desert, I had huge experiences. I met my husband from Atlantis, which is pretty huge. Anyway, I met the healed masculine and feminine energy in the desert, which was amazing because we both recognized each other from a past life and we both felt this feeling of this unconditional and beautiful love. We had energy technologies of Atlantis and ancient times. of the feminine and masculine, and how actually sexuality and all these kind of things were energy technologies to proceed and heal and move forward in life instead of a physical act. So I received also these messages. And the desert was just, we were sleeping there. So we had a beautiful, beautiful sky with stars, and we were meditating and doing energy work and healing processes and all these kind of things. So you can see it was an initiation in love in so many levels. And ultimately, it was about everything is love. Life is love. God is love. And it's everything that life brings you is because life loves you, because life wants you to grow and to prosper and to become an even more beautiful version of yourself and to remember who you are. This divine being of pure existence. And we all come from source, and we're all a part of source energy. So there's source, what some people call God, some people call it source, some people call it I don't know what, different. And we all come from that source to experience a different part of source. It's like we're feeding a computer, actually, with information of a different perspectives of the same thing. And that source is pure love. And it's about experiencing this different perspective that you're one perspective of a whole, and together we're one whole, together we are source. So this podcast can be maybe very triggering or challenging for you because maybe it breaks through many beliefs, or maybe it seems far-fetched, but maybe not. Maybe it's something where you start remembering who you are, who you really are. And yes, I can't wait for comments and questions. I tried to keep it short because there's so much to say about these 7 days in so many levels of what happened. But the message really is remember who you are, and that everything in life is for you, and that everything in life is coming because life loves you, because everything loves you. And that we are here in a point in this evolution where it's also about healing the feminine and the masculine inside of ourselves and in the outside. So I will do more podcasts about that as well, about the feminine, the masculine, love, frequencies, energies, channeling, mediumship, all these kind of things. But please let me know, how do you feel right now? What questions come up? So I can really support you better and give you content that really helps and supports you. I see you, I feel you, and I hear you because we're all one. We're all connected. So thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in, and all my best to you.
Thank you for being here, for your time, for listening, and showing up for your own personal path. If something touched you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. And make sure to subscribe and get my weekly newsletter. You can always go deeper at mystic-psychology.com or find me on Instagram. I'd really love to connect to you in person, read your comments and messages. So until next time, stay close to your soul and trust what you feel, follow your intuition, and I can't wait to connect with you again.